everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Thursday, July 7th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Now, if you're looking for my MLB best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Of course, I'm always running my $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Thursday, July 7th. First up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Houston Astros. We're going to see Kris Bubic and Justin Verlander on the mound for this one. Pretty lopsided pitching matchup, and for that reason, we see a huge price here for the Houston Astros. Now, I can't really deny it. I mean, Justin Verlander, a legend of the game, 10-3 with a 2.03 ERA this season, while Kris Bubic 1-5 with a 7.06 ERA. Now, I did think that at one point Kris Bubic was improving his game, but in his last couple starts, I have not been impressed at all. And look at the Houston Astros against lefties; they have just been crushing left-handers. They're number one in the last 30 days in team OPS and isolated power against lefties in 256 plate appearances, which is a pretty large sample for those last 30 days. So I think they get to Bubic early and often. I think this total's set a little bit too low. I think the Astros could score 8 runs themselves, so only a couple runs chipped in by the Royals on either Verlander or the Astros bullpen is all we would need to cash this over. This price for Houston is just too steep for, obviously can't take the money line at minus 300. I guess you could throw it in a couple of your big parlays, but even still, you're just not getting a lot of value there. I'm just going to take the over in the Royals-Astros. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Cincinnati Reds. This is actually going to be a doubleheader on Thursday, with 2:10 Eastern being the first start time and 7:10 following that for Game 2. Now, Game 1, we should see Roansy Contreras and Mike Minor as your starters. Game 2, we don't have an official starter listed for the Reds, but we should see Bryce Wilson for the Pirates. Now, I've mentioned over and over this season, I'm not crazy about doubleheaders, at least not on this format, this video format, as we post these videos the night before, so a lot of information can change with doubleheaders the day of the games. We can see pitching changes, we can see lineup availability be different, bullpen availability. So, tread lightly with these doubleheader games. But for Game 1, I am going to lean towards the Pirates, although I do think that there is some problems right now in Roansy Contreras' game, including the home run ball worry, where he gave up 3 homers last time out, and his barrel percentage, average exit velocity, and hard hit percentage are very, very below average right now in terms of starting pitching. I still think he's the better option here, and I also trust the Pirates lineup more than I do Cincinnati's. Mike Minor going for the Reds. The Pirates, although in the last 30 days they haven't been the sharpest against lefties, they've definitely had better offensive numbers against lefties than righties this season. Both teams are actually that case too. But with the Reds facing a righty, and a righty that I would trust a little bit more here in Contreras, I'll take a shot with Pittsburgh on the money line in Game 1. But in Game 2, with Bryce Wilson on the mound for Pittsburgh, there's no way I could take a chance with the Pirates there. I'll take the Reds in Game 2 just on a lean. Obviously, we don't know who's starting for the Reds right now, so we'll have to wait and see who they decide to go with. But I'm going to lean towards the Pirates in Game 1 and the Reds in Game 2. Next up, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. We're going to see Bailey Falter going for the Phillies. No official starter listed for the Nationals quite yet. We saw Falter pitch against these Nationals back on June 17th. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, 2 homers in that one. 4 strikeouts, not too bad. He's had 9 Ks in his last 9 innings. He's not a guy that I'm looking to back too often, but if the Nationals decide to go with a bullpen game, I certainly can't trust Washington's pitching staff. Falter in the last 5 starts that he's made, or his last 5 outings, I should say, the Phillies have won 4 of those 5 games. It just goes to show you, Phillies lineup is doing pretty good things right now, and I think even if Falter gives up a couple runs early in this spot, I think the bats will back him up. I also think the Phillies bullpen's a lot better here, so I'm going to take a lean here with the Philadelphia Phillies. Not my favorite game, just because we don't really know what's going on for the Nationals in terms of their starter, but I'll take a lean here with Philadelphia for now. Next up, we see the biggest rivalry in sports, in my opinion, the New York Yankees taking on the Boston Red Sox. We're going to see Garrett Cole and Josh Winkowski on the mound for this contest. Now, Garrett Cole has certainly had his issues with pitching against the Red Sox. We saw it in the wild card game last year, or last postseason, where he really struggled at Fenway Park, and even at the beginning of the season this year, he had his struggles in that opening day start against Boston. But I still think he's the better option here. I also think the Yankees bats are going to back him up. Josh Winkowski hasn't pitched too poorly on the mound, but he's only got 19 strikeouts this season in 26 innings of work, 7 walks allowed in that stretch. So walks are a little bit of an issue, but you also look at the matchups that he's had in the last 5 outings. Orioles, Athletics, Tigers, Guardians, and Cubs. None of those teams are even come close to me in terms of offense like the New York Yankees. I mean, you could argue that maybe the Guardians and Orioles are a bit above average. Still, it's more of a stretch, and I think the Yankees have one of, if not the best lineups in baseball right now against lefties and against righties. It's very tough to pitch against this Yankees lineup, and the Red Sox bullpen has not been very good as of late. It was really in June, it was pitching really well. In that Wrigley Field series wasn't the best, and we're starting to see some inconsistencies there, some injuries as well to worry about. I like the Yankees here. I think they're big favorites on the road for a reason. It's not too common to see the Yankees or either of these teams be this big a favorite on the road in this rivalry series. It's been a very tight rivalry series in the last decade or so, but I still think the Yankees get it done. Give me the New York Yankees on the money line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Now, I think these Angels are lost right now on both sides of the baseball. When you look, Mike Trout struggling at the plate. Even this team in the field, which is a pretty solid defensive team overall, they are struggling as well. And Michael Lorenzen has just not been sharp on the mound. You look at his last 3 outings against the Mariners, giving up 5 innings, 7 hits, 7 earned runs, a homer. Then the next start against the same Mariners, 3 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned, 4 walks. That was actually a very forgiving line. The game, if you watch that game, he pitched a lot worse than what his line says. And then the next start against the Astros, the worst of them all, 3 innings, 8 hits, 8 total runs, 7 of those were earned, 3 home runs as well in an 8-1 blowout loss. You know, Jordan Lyles is not a guy that I'm going to back very often, but I will say he is definitely in better form right now compared to Lorenzen, and the Orioles overall are in better form as well, playing very good ball at Camden Yards this season with an above 500 record. I'm going to take the Baltimore Orioles here until the Angels show me any sign of life. Give me Baltimore on the money line. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the New York Mets, an NL East matchup here. We see a pretty surging Miami Marlins team now, only a couple games under 500 going into this series. We'll see if they can get the win against the Angels on Wednesday night, but they're going to be facing Trevor Williams here for the Mets while Daniel Castano gets the ball for the Fish. This is an interesting matchup as the Mets are big-time favorites, but I don't really think that this pitching matchup warrants that kind of price for the Mets. Trevor Williams hasn't been the sharpest option for New York in terms of starting pitching. Now we know Max Scherzer is back, and he looked really sharp in his first start back against the Reds. And we see Jacob deGrom is making his rehab starts now. He went inning and 2/3 with 5 strikeouts, so he struck out every batter he faced in his first rehab start in Single A. So when deGrom comes back, we can expect that Williams will go towards the bullpen. But last time out, Williams 3 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned, 3 home runs, not pitching anywhere near a minus 170, minus 180 pitcher. And the Mets are facing Daniel Castano, who I have my concerns with, and I do think his ERA will rise from that sub-3 ERA it's at right now. But still, he's a left-handed pitcher. The Mets have not really hit lefties very well this season. He keeps the ball in the yard for the most part, as his barrel percentage and average exit velocity is above average this season in terms of starting pitchers. So, you know, he's faced this Mets lineup back on June 26th, and he pitched well. 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned. He gave up 1 home run, but he had 4 strikeouts, and the Marlins won 3-2. For me, there's a live dog in this spot. I'm going to take the Miami Marlins plus the 1.5 because the bookmakers are giving us that good of a price that we don't even have to take the money line. I'll take the 1.5 runs if this is a lower scoring game, a closer game. Then if it's a 3-2, 4-3 ball game, we cash no matter who wins. So I'll take the Miami Marlins plus the 1.5. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Atlanta Braves. Matthew Liberatore and Spencer Strider are your starters here. And I think this is a bad spot for the Cardinals and Matthew Liberatore, the young starter. He has struggled in the major leagues thus far. He did struggle last time out against the Phillies, even though the Cardinals did win the game in the end. Liberatore went 2 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, and he's facing an Atlanta Braves lineup that has absolutely crushed lefties this season. And in the last 30 days, they're in the top 10 in both team OPS and isolated power. So I don't like this spot for Liberatore, and the Cardinals bullpen behind Liberatore, I don't really trust either. Spencer Strider, a pretty exciting young pitcher, guy that can strike out a ton of batters. Sometimes the control issues are there. The home run ball issues is also there at times. But last time out, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 11 strikeouts against the Cincinnati Reds. Previous start to that one, 6 innings, no runs, 7 strikeouts against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Strider is pitching very well. The Braves are big favorites in this spot for a reason. Give me the Atlanta Braves laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Chicago White Sox. Bo Brisky and Dylan Cease will be your probable starters. Now, Dylan Cease has had a lot of success against the Detroit Tigers in his career and this season. And I know Detroit is surging right now. They are playing a lot better baseball than they were at the beginning of the year, as they just dominated the Cleveland Guardians in that series this week. But still, Cease, last time out against these Tigers, 5 innings, no earned runs, 8 strikeouts. The previous start to that one back on April 9th, 5 innings, 1 earned run in that one. So he's pitched 10 innings of 1 earned run baseball this year against Detroit. He's pitched very well against them in years past, and I think he pitches well again in this spot. That's why the White Sox are huge favorites here. But I also like the White Sox matchup against Bo Brisky. At the beginning of the year, I mentioned over and over, the White Sox have not really hit right-handed pitching very well, but they're getting better and better at it. You look in the game on Wednesday afternoon against the Minnesota Twins, Chicago putting up 9 runs of offense. They had 14 total base hits in that one, and they got to Joe Ryan, they got to Emilio Pagan, McGill as well. So a couple righties in that mix in the Minnesota Twins bullpen and starting pitching matchup. So I like the White Sox offense against Bo Brisky, a guy that I'm looking to fade quite often. You look at his last 3 starts against the Royals, 3 earned runs, against the Diamondbacks, 5 earned runs. You know, those teams below average offenses to begin with. So I'm going to take the Chicago White Sox here and lay the 1.5 runs as the big favorite. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks, with Austin Gomber and Dallas Keuchel as your projected starters for now, but we don't see an official lineup for this game, so we could see a pitching change. Now, with these two lefties going at it, we could expect to see some runs. I lean towards the over automatically. I think we saw this exact pitching matchup last week at Coors Field, and Dallas Keuchel got crushed by the Rockies lineup. He's been getting crushed ever since he made the move to Arizona. His first 2 starts, he's gone 9 1/3 innings, 10 earned runs, 6 walks allowed. It hasn't been very good for him. He has just slotted in there as the Diamondbacks try to get back from injury in that rotation. But the Rockies have crushed lefties all season long. You look in the last 30 days, they're number 4 in team OPS against those left-handed pitching, and top 10 in isolated power as well. So I like their matchup against Keuchel. Austin Gomber is another guy that's really struggled this year, but the Diamondbacks lineup hasn't been nearly as potent as the Rockies has against lefties. So I'm going to lean towards the Colorado Rockies here on the money line, lean towards the over as well. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the San Diego Padres. Logan Webb and Joe Musgrove are your projected starters. Now, the San Francisco Giants have some problems. There's no doubting that. And really, I think this line is a little bit too light. I think San Diego should be bigger favorites in this spot. I think because of Logan Webb's record and ERA this year, the books are a little bit too respectful towards the Giants in this spot. I think Musgrove is the better starter. I also think the Padres lineup is more trustworthy right now, especially against right-handed pitching. And I also think the Padres bullpen is far and away the better option than compared to this Giants bullpen. You look at San Diego in the last 30 days, top 15 in both team OPS and isolated power against right-handed pitching, while the Giants 24th in team OPS and isolated power, and the numbers aren't that much better. They're ranked 20th. So I can't trust this Giants lineup or bullpen right now. And although Logan Webb's had success this season, I think Joe Musgrove is the better option. We're getting a really good price with San Diego. Give me the Padres on the money line. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to see Mark Leiter Jr. and Tony Gonsolin on the mound for this contest. Now, this is a crazy price, another big-time money line price. We're seeing a lot of these on Thursday with some big favorites, but I'm going to lean towards the underdog here, and we don't even have to think about taking them on the money line. We don't even have to take them on the standard run line plus 1.5. I'm going to take 2.5 runs because it's a pretty good price here with Chicago. They're that big of underdogs. The Cubs are playing better baseball. We saw them compete in that series against the Milwaukee Brewers, getting that win when they were big-time underdogs against Corbin Burns on Wednesday afternoon. Even though they didn't do much against Burns, they did a lot against Josh Hader, the best closer in baseball. So the lineup's it's getting some situational offense down. The pitching staff's done a pretty good job. The bullpen, here and there, it's been okay. But, Mark Leiter Jr. last time out against the Red Sox, 5 1/3 innings, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, held down the fort very, very well. And, Tony Gonsolin's a guy that I'm looking to regress as the season continues. I know we say, why are you waiting for regression? If he's hot right now, let's bet him while he's hot. But the thing about baseball is you got to look for value, either value against or value for. And I just don't think that Tony Gonsolin is a minus 285 pitcher right now. And we can expect this price to continue to rise. It's the LA Dodgers after all. We know the public's going to be on the Dodgers in this spot. So minus 300 plus is not crazy to think about. And Tony Gonsolin's xFIP is above 3.5 right now. That's just not minus 280, minus 300 worthy. So if you're going to give me 2.5 runs at a decent price, I got to take him here with the live dog. So give me the Chicago Cubs plus 2.5 runs. Next up, our final game of the night, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Seattle Mariners. Now, we don't have an official starter listed, unfortunately, for the Blue Jays, so this is a kind of a tricky game to handicap. We should see Marco Gonzalez for the Mariners. Now, the Blue Jays, against the Oakland A's, they were definitely less than impressive. They struggled to get that win on Wednesday afternoon. We saw them lose a game outright as well, and overall, the Blue Jays on the road just haven't been the best team to back. You look, they're 45-38 overall this season, so 7 games above 500, but 20-20, so dead even at 500 on the road, while the Mariners, the same record at home, 20-20, and they're playing a lot better baseball right now. Another couple of exciting players in that lineup, like Julio Rodriguez, has pretty much got the AL Rookie of the Year locked up already. Marco Gonzalez has been solid. I've mentioned it time and time again that I'm not looking to back him very often, but 3.29 ERA this year, hasn't given up a home run last time out, and that includes 2 of his last 4 starts, no home runs allowed, and that includes a start against the Minnesota Twins. So he's pitched a lot better and keeping the ball in the yard a lot more, which is important for his game, as he's had a lot of issues with the home run ball in his career. But you know what? He's pitching well enough for me to take a chance here with the Seattle Mariners, especially without knowing who the Blue Jays are starting. If they go with a bullpen game, Toronto's bullpen has not been very good lately. I'm going to take a shot here with Seattle. I'm guessing we're going to get plus money with them at home because the Blue Jays are the perceived better team, but Seattle's playing better ball, in my opinion. Give me the Mariners in a lean here on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday, July 7th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my MLB best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.